Okay, so we're here with Sam Lowes and we're in Cartagena. Sam's been down here in Spain doing some training and we thought we'd catch up with him today. So how are you, Sam?
Very well. Nice to be here chatting with you.
And how long have you been down here?
I've been about 2.5 weeks, just down to do it and train obviously in the winter with my trainer Kirk, and then back up ready for the season.
So we've got some questions for Sam from people that have sent them in, and we'll start with those now. The first one are from John Hamilton, and he's asking Sam, how has your mental approach to racing changed over the years?
I think a lot of it's obviously to do with experiences, getting older, good things and bad things. So it always shapes how you are in loads of different ways. But mentally, what I've learned over my career up to this date is that the last few years I've worked a lot more on that side of it. When I was younger, I didn't work as much on the mental side, and just changed a lot. Changed that I really know now. I have to be in the right place all the time. I have to keep the routine, keep myself in the zone, and keep working on the things I have to. And so I would say that my approach over the years has changed in a way that now I actually physically understand that it's an area I can work on and do work on it. Whereas in my early years, my early part of my career, I didn't do that as much.
An area that's always evolving for you?
I think it's an area that's always evolving, and something that as the things get closer and the classes get tighter and the margins get thinner, like everything, you're looking for every advantage that you can get, and every area you can improve in your fitness, in your riding, in your mental approach, in your diet, and I think if you work on everything, that's the only way to get right to the top. So that's what we're doing.
John also asked how much influence, good or bad, is a teammate over the years? You know, that environment of being in a team.
Yeah, I would say it's never a bad thing to have a teammate. Of course, when things go wrong, or when you don't get along, or like last year, me and Tony, when we came together in Mugello, when he took me out, stuff like that is never good. But in my experience over the years, a teammate is a positive thing, especially on a race weekend when you've got a limited track time and you need to work on the bike or the setting, or it's more information. So I would always rather have the fastest teammate possible, the best teammate possible, and I think it's a benefit for the other rider and for the team. Obviously, when there's two people getting results, it's better for the team, and if you're having a bad weekend or they have a good one, and vice versa, it brings everybody, the momentum for everybody. And I think when 21 races in the calendar that we have, if all the team morale stays high, is very important. So then when it comes down to it, if you're fighting for championship or race victories or in any race with the teammate, it's always you want to beat them. But I always actually say, especially at the start of the year, maybe it changes after that we need to beat everybody else first and then us too. And then it's for the team, that's the goal. And I think working like that is the way to get the best from yourself, from your team. And I would always, maybe not thought that my whole career, but now I'm a bit older, I'll definitely always have the fastest teammate I could.
Okay, Paul asks, how's your mindset been when coming back from injury and trying to slip back into getting to 100%, especially when in Moto2 you need to be 100% focused?
Yeah, I think when you're coming back from injury it's difficult. Also to fully understand, firstly, your injury and how much it's affecting you on the bike, and then to understand where you're at, and then to you start doubting yourself potentially because you feel, oh no, I'm more or less okay, and I'm slow. It must be something else on the bike or yourself or the riding, and then it's just a big, a difficult situation. So, yeah, the hardest thing is to know where you are and be really honest to yourself of where you are injury-wise. And I think in any class, in any of the class, not just Moto2, you have to be 100% fit. You have to be able to do everything you need to do, because it's hard. You train like me now. We've trained all winter. We're out here training. We're doing everything we can to be ready for the first race because you need to be at that level. So when you're injured and not at that level, it's normal that results aren't coming. But the hard bit is to manage that, and you think, oh, I can just, in the past I've had some injuries where I've been able to still make it happen or get the odd result, but yeah, it's a difficult situation. Hard to manage. The expectation is probably the main thing.
And then another one from Paul. Sorry, are you still loving riding as much as you did in the early days?
Well, I think yesterday when you came in, and obviously we was training down the road just on the Ovales, and you came, and what was it, about 3 o'clock or something, and we've been there since 11, and we stayed till 4:30, and I kept putting fuel in it and riding around. So yeah, I love it more than even more than ever, especially after a tough end last year, not riding that much and watching the races from home. Really appreciate how much I do love it, and yeah, obviously in a very lucky position to be able to do it. I understand that, and yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me, but yeah, I love it more every year, and yeah, can't wait to get the season going.
One question also was, if you weren't a Moto2, professional rider, what do you think you might have ended up doing in an alternative universe?
I'll keep it clean, but I would say in an ideal world for me, because I have a big passion for golf, I would say I'd try and be a professional golfer. The fact that I can't put the ball in the hole would probably mean that I couldn't do that, but I love golf, and I would like to think I could try and do something like that. I have sports, so everything that I've known, I have that mindset of focus on racing. So if it was not racing, it was another thing, and I put that much effort into, say, golf. Who knows if you could do it, but I'd like to think that, be on the PGA Tour, earning some money.
Nice, very nice. Okay, so Daniel Grice, who's in Tasmania, sent in, how do you get yourself into the right mindset before a race? So obviously you've had the weekend, you've got the work done, and then it's that race day.
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot of stuff that we work on together also before every session, not just for the race. I have my warm-up, my routine that I do. And I think for any race, by the time you've done your Friday, Saturday practice, something I need to always keep working on, but I have improved, is you know where you're at. You need to know where you're at. So if you're having a tough weekend, you can't then sit there and go, I'm going to win the race. And because, of course, I want to win every race that I do, or try to, every rider, obviously. But the mindset I think you have to have is to maximise what you're doing on that specific weekend, and using all the stuff, the techniques we have, and also analysing better with my team, with the people around me, to where you are. If you've qualified 12, it's going to be difficult to win the race, and I think the mindset of winning at all costs is not worked for me in some seasons. So it's just to be analysed very well, know where you're at, and put yourself in the right positive mindset to know what you can go out there and achieve, and what a win. Achieving your goals, not always winning, but if you set realistic goals, and that you can obviously evolve over the race, not just over the, not just before the race, but achievable goals, realistic goals. I think that is the best way to get in a good mindset.
What is your go-to for relaxing after a race meet?
Yeah, obviously after a race weekend, the biggest thing on a race weekend is the pressure for the weekend. You're in a different, sat here in a relaxed way now. You feel different to what you do, and you make different decisions to what you would on a race weekend. So I like to have a bit of downtime. Obviously, I like to play my golf. I like to spend time with my daughter and my wife. So it's just completely different, slow everything down, spend time with them, and yeah, I'll never be too far away from a golf course if there's one by.
Favourite circuit?
Well, this is, I think, a lot of riders, myself included, when you get a good result, that becomes one of your favourite circuits, and when you don't get a good result, it soon goes off the list of your favourite circuits. I would probably say Aragon is one of my favourites. Mugello, also, it's just a fantastic track. Austin was definitely one of my favourites, especially the first few years there. Now it's changed a little bit with the way, the surface of the track. Phillip Island was amazing when I was in Supersport. We used to go there in the good time of year. Now we go there and the weather's bad. You get a different side of it. But yeah, our best track, yeah, probably Aragon. Yeah.
Aragon, your favourite?
I mean, it's a track I've done well at. So like we said, you fall back into that, don't you? But Aragon, Silverstone because of the fact it's the British Grand Prix. But I'd say it's more, I love the event than the track, because the track's nice, but it's nothing special.
Yeah. So we talked about it earlier, obviously the work that you put in this winter. How, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is pre-season, do you think, to a solid season?
I think what's most important is when you start the year, or you get on the bike, or for the first day of testing, or the first day of the season, is that you feel ready. So it's where you're putting yourself where if you're happy doing X amount, or you need to do more, if you get on the bike feeling like you've not prepared well enough, then you've obviously not done enough. So I this winter with my shoulder did a lot of rehab, especially before Christmas, and then hit it harder into January with my trainer Kirk. And yeah, I just think it's hard to know what's hard to give what's enough and what's not enough. But yeah, I'm lucky this winter. Everything's gone to plan so far, and I feel in a real good place. And yeah, feel the fittest I've been in a long time.
Good stuff. Good. So it's a good foundation.
Yeah.
What do you do for fitness? What would your schedule be?
Yeah, so like I said, this winter's a bit different because of the rehab with the shoulder, but I do a lot of work in the gym, always in the gym with my trainer every morning. We've been in over the winter. Yeah, so just circuits, a lot of cardio, a lot of weights, but low weight, high reps, stuff like that, high intensity. And then in the afternoons, I do a lot of running. A lot of riders prefer cycling, I prefer running, so I run run a lot. I think it's good to clear the head as well and just get out doing some runs. But yeah, my base fitness, my base training is in the gym with Kirk.
Yeah. And do you run the tracks generally when you get to a
Yeah,
circuit?
occasionally if I'm there on the Wednesday, I'll run it. I'll always walk the track on a Thursday, but if I'm there Wednesday, because it depends on how the flights work or what we have on, then yeah, I would run the track on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
Not that often on a Thursday, obviously, because we ride Friday, so
Yeah.
maybe one steady that I'll do. But
Yeah.
I like to walk the track as well, just to get a feel ready for the weekend.
Yeah. Who's your favourite rider of all time? And why?
Obviously cliche, I'll go with Valentino Rossi because, you know, when I'm 9, 10, you know, he's winning 250s, moving up to 500s, I'm there watching it and you see him winning. I think in any sport, you know, you go towards that person, and then when the character they are, and you know, made it exciting, not just me, for all of us that was watching at that time. Then as I've got older, got to know him as well. Surprised me, and I think he's a great person, a good person, and I respect him already before, and then once meeting him even more. So I have to say Rossi, really. Also Doohan, I love that Doohan was so just hardcore, win at all costs, run the #1 plate. I like that. Do you know what I mean? Now it's a bit different. People don't, I know this year Bagnaia is, but in general people have not been running it that much. And I like it when, you know, Doohan's attitude is good. He came back from real big injuries, you know, and still come back, won, and just had that hard man attitude. I like that as well.
Yeah, great. Speaking of Rossi, have you ever been to the ranch?
Yeah, I've only been a couple of times, but a while ago now, but I've been there, yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, real cool, real good. We turned up there, and it's when my brother was racing Imola for the superbike, and they had the superbikes on, and it was real good. He lined the bikes, said, "I'll just take one of the bikes if you want." Well, you know, and I was going to, but take any bike you want, and he was real sound. He said, "I'll take that one on the end, it's a new tyre and that." So just really into it, just real sound, good experience. Obviously, it's a strange surface, so they ride it a lot, but I enjoyed it a lot, and it was yeah, real good experience. It was a nice day.
Yeah, nice, I'm sure. A great experience. Okay, there's been a few of these over the years, but what would you say is the best battle that you've had?
Best battle I've had is a good one. I would probably say with Keenan in Supersport, because the calibre of rider he was, and the championships he had, and then to fight him, we were so far in front of everybody else. So to battle with him was like a real, let's say, a rivalry. We liked each other, so it was not a rivalry in that sense, but it was, you know, just me and him every weekend.
Ultra competitive.
Ultra competitive, and you know, it was, like I said, we had a gap on the rest. It was always just us two. Since in Moto2, in other classes, it's a lot of people, and even in like Moto2, the last few seasons, get the champion. But in the end, it's been a battle of a few guys. So it's you know, one weekend you have a great battle, but then it's somebody else the next week and somebody else. Whereas that year it was just every weekend me and him, and it was really enjoyable. Both respect each other, and you know, have a good relationship now. So it was, yeah, I'd say Keenan.
When you end up in a 1-to-1 like that, and obviously that was for the majority of a season,
Yeah.
can you actually start to predict what they will do? Can you get to know them, you know, their characteristics?
Yeah, you can, but then it depends on the rider, because he was such a talented rider where he could do a lot of different things on the bike, and he was very instinctive, like Top Rack is now, honestly. So it's hard to understand when they're gonna do it. Some riders ride quite like one-dimensional, so you know how they ride, you know their strong points, so you know where they can potentially pass you, so you're sort of ready for it. With Keenan, with my experience, and now when I watch the superbikes with Top Rack, they're so different. You know, they just do it spirit of the moment. So that's obviously hard to defend against, and you're not ready for it. So, but yeah, I enjoyed racing with him. I enjoyed it, and you always knew when you passed he was coming straight by.
Yeah.
So you know, if you made a move, the next corner or 2 corners maximum, he would have another go. But you could sort of predict and use to your advantage, you know, to like and then get a good exit, cut back, and then try and get away. So it was a nice year. It was good.
So one question from me is, you actually have the outright pole record in Moto2 with 18 poles.
Well, most people don't stay in it that long, do they? So. It's 19 now.
It is, okay, so tell us about that. Why is it 19
Well,
but it says 18?
Because in 2020 I made a mistake in the race in Austria and had a neutral and took out chanter in the top hairpin. So they, for the next race, put me on the back of the grid. So like it was already the penalty was before the weekend, you know. So wherever I qualified, I knew I was. Well, actually, it was a pit lane start.
Pit lane, yeah.
Yeah, but back on the grid for like the sighting lap and then pit lane.
Yeah.
So obviously that I lit my fire a bit. So I got pole position that weekend and got the watch and everything, got the bonus. So I got the important bit, but I had to start from pit lane.
Yes.
So they didn't. So even though I got the pole and I was in Parc Fermé and did the conference, in the stats it doesn't recognise that I had pole.
So the stats are actually starting from pole rather than qualifying for pole.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
Must be.
I don't know if whoever did start that race from pole they didn't get the watch. I don't know if they got the star.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And would pole be empty because you're starting from pit lane?
They move everybody up.
Ah, of course, yeah.
In fact, so Remy was second. Remy Gardner was second on the grid there, and he actually crashed in warm up in the fast right. I can't remember the name of the corner, but the fast turn 12. But massive crash, massive crash. Unlucky. I think it was a bit cold. I don't know, massive, and didn't race. So I think it was Luca Marini qualified third and ended up starting from pole.
Talk about
he went to bed. I went to bed on Saturday night thinking, oh yeah, front row start. Wakes up, pole man.
Yeah, sometimes it goes that way.
But yeah, no, been lucky. Had a lot of poles.
So what my question was that a lot of people feel extra pressure for qualifying. They might have been really good earlier in the weekend, and then when it comes to qualifying, they actually underperform. What do you think you bring to qualifying that allows you to be able to put that lap in? You know, obviously consistently because you've done it more than anybody.
I think honestly it's a little bit down to riding style and attitude, and also speed. One of my biggest attributes in my riding is my speed. You know, I'm very rarely slow. Doesn't mean I win the race, but my actual speed is a good point. I can get down to a lap time fast, and I can do it alone without anybody on track. You know, I'm never really a rider that gets behind people, so I never really mess a qualifying up by not getting good track position because I have my own track position. You know, if maybe some people get behind me and you don't make it nice because you don't want them to follow you or something like that, but I don't need all my laps I've done probably for pole. If I've had 18, like we say, 16 of them would have been on my own. Yeah. So that's a good point. That's a strong point for me. So in them 15 minutes, some people end up having a bad session because they're waiting for somebody, and that's I've never done that. So that definitely helps me. And I think just the way I ride, the way my riding style and pushing for one lap is quite. I've got a bit of speed in me and a good technique, and just enjoy it. I don't really feel more pressure for it. I feel like it's more of an opportunity than a pressure. You know, in Moto2 now, you've got to be on the front 2 rows, really. Yeah. To get away at the start, you know, and do a good first 3 laps, because that middle part of the race, a lot of people are doing the same pace. So if you're not there at the start, it's really hard to catch up. It's not like other classes. So just put a lot of emphasis on it, and I always ride, especially with this team, since I've been with VDS, we always ride all weekend with full fuel. Every time I have a new tyre, I have full tank of fuel every single time in testing, in the race weekend, apart from in qualifying. So a lot of times over the weekend, I feel okay. When I go out in qualifying, low fuel, new tyre, and the bike feels mint. Yeah. So that's down to the team doing a good job, and then in the first lap maybe becomes better than you think, and then of course you take the confidence into the next one, do a good lap, and it's nice. But there's a good feeling when you cross the line and you look and you go, I don't even need to check that. You know you're going to be pole. It is a good feeling.
Is it down to executing what you've already got, sort of your homework on? Or is it more accuracy? What would you think?
Yeah, it's a little bit of pushing. Obviously, you push hard, put a lap together. I just think I enjoy it. I think I enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge. I think it's something I've always loved to put a good lap in. Yeah. You know, in our sport, even when I'm riding on these bikes, it's always lap time related. Even if it's not pushing for the out and out lap time, you always know what lap times you're doing. It's what we talk about when we're training. So I don't know. I've just always enjoyed the session. Good to have it, and I change a lot of them for race wins, but hopefully that'll be this year we can do both.
And that last part that we're just looking at is you enjoying it. That's the key as well, isn't it? So there isn't any extra nerves or trepidation.
Yeah, because the nerves and the pressure for me are the whole weekend anyway. Yeah. The qualifying, the practice is also important because you're building your bike for the race. Yeah. So sometimes it's nearly more important that session. Yes. Okay, then it's not, because you need to start near the front, but it's not. That's for me is not any different to the whole weekend. The whole weekend I want to perform. Yeah. Qualifying is just a part of that.
A part of it. Yeah. So no extra. It doesn't mean anything more.
No, because the whole weekend is important to me.
That's
from the FP1, I've given the correct information, doing the pace early so that we can work on the bike through to the race. So, and it's all just part of the package. And I think if you do, you know, the race obviously becomes the most, you know, the wake up Sunday, you feel a bit more nervous is normal. But I think I've never felt extra pressure. I felt pressure over the whole thing, but I don't feel extra pressure for qualifying.
Yeah, cool, great. And the last thing is, you've got a lot of experience, you know, started off in British Super Sports, then into World Super Sport, then into Moto2. If there was a young rider watching this and aspires, you know, to follow that same route, what would be the main advice that you give him? Or her, could be a her.
Yeah, them. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, obviously, because of the opportunities and the financial things around. And I just think, and I said this to some people that I'm out here training with, you've always just got to be as competitive as you can be. So if you have to go to a different class but on an uncompetitive bike, you're better off being in just the best package you can be on, because it's a results-driven sport. So if you're doing well in any class, you're running at the front, then you can evolve and move up, and the opportunities will more likely come than riding in a better class on a worse bike. So I always feel that that's something that you should always try and have the most competitive situation. I know that sounds obvious, but not everyone does it.
No,
you know,
no.
to have the most competitive situation you can is so important. Also for your confidence, for everything, for your training, for the sponsors, and then I think it's, you know, a bit of a snowball effect. And I think me looking at the younger kids now that race against me, and looking at myself, looking at my brother, obviously, because I can see everything that he does, is just, you've got to work hard. And when you think you're working hard, work a bit more than that, and you're working the same as them guys in the top, you know?
Yeah.
The young guys today, they're riding all the time. I know it's not always easy to do that, but they're riding all the time, every week, 2 or 3 times a week, riding, training all the time. And I think that's the thing. And not just, also on the bike, you can go out and ride. Like I said, I'm out here to see some people out here when we're riding. You push hard, and you just have to push harder. You know, the intensity is what you need if you're training and if you're riding. Is what, if someone had told me when I was younger, is that when I was in like super sport and stuff, and luckily we did well. When I moved up to Grand Prix, it wasn't that the level was much more, but it was the intensity. It was the best super sport lap you could do, but every lap, and that made you competitive. Then you still need to do more, and I think that's something that the biggest thing. And when I was probably foul of this when I was younger, was looking at what other people have got, or oh yeah, but my bike's this, or the tyre, I'm not on this tyre, or mate has been testing here, or this, and it's all legitimate things that could have an effect on the riding. But the biggest thing that you can change it with, even if you work with the best people, with the best crew chiefs, the biggest place you can find lap time and results is in the mirror.
Yeah.
For all of us, for myself, for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's where it's a harsh truth. And I see a lot of the young people today that don't think like that. And the ones that do will probably make it, and the ones that don't won't.
Yeah.
And that's not horrible to say, it's just fact.
Yeah, and it's how soon they wise up to that.
I always had sort of the attitude, and from my family really, my brother as well, pushing me, like, if Rossi or say Marquez now was on the bike, would he go faster? Yeah, he would. So, can I win the race on this bike? Maybe not. Can it go faster than I'm going? Yeah. And that's all you need to do. Until you get the absolute most out of what you're on, no point moaning about it. And that'll take you a certain way. And there's a lot of clever people in the sport that will see that. And you just have to believe that'll be enough to progress into the next levels.
Yeah, so it's actually looking at your work rate rather than
moaning about what you've got. People know what you're on. And I felt like all you've got to do really in this job is do better than people think you're going to do. If you do better than people expect you to do on what you're on to a winner. But if you do okay and moan about it.
Yeah. And if you've worked hard and well on something that isn't very competitive, you're going to be really competitive when you get to that package.
That helped me, and it was probably sort of, I wouldn't say by mistake, but I tried hard on lesser bikes, not really knowing they were that much lesser, but thinking, oh, that was a decent package, honestly. And then I got on a good bike, maybe 2010, got on a good bike, and I did about 3 laps, and I thought, fucking hell. No wonder I've been struggling with it. So it was just, and I did the same in World Super Sport. I jumped on the Yamaha in Jerez testing. I'm not even exaggerating, literally, I was in my first run on the bike ever. And I was like, well, I'll win. I can win.
Yeah.
It was just a massive step, and I thought, I'm happy I've dug in, and now I'm on this. Oh, okay, then you still have to work as hard as ever, but it just makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah. Perfect. Great, well thanks very much for your time.
No worries.
It's been great to catch up, and all the best this year.
Perfect, thank you.
Cheers.
Top man.
Cheers.
Cheers.